A lovely hot sunny day, so I just literally cut the roof off.
Hi, this is Lot 76 Cars. My name's Simon and welcome to the first Bicester Scramble of 2023. I hope you enjoy the coverage. Now, first up, catching my eye and seldom seen in the UK or even the European market is this left-hand drive only Pontiac Solstice, built to compete with the Mazda MX-5 and sold, I think, mainly in the American market, possibly in Europe. It's actually quite a pretty looking car, to be honest with you. I can see why it was a success for them. A really lovely looking Camaro SS350. You wouldn't mistake that for anything else, would you? What a lovely car. Just entering the show, the Nissan S-Car Go. Yes, the snail. These Jaguar XJs are proving very popular on YouTube at the moment, aren't they? Every YouTuber of note seems to have one. Now, I followed in this lovely Lotus Cortina, which was very clean, and as you can see, it's as clean underneath the bonnet as it is on the outside. What a beautiful car. Very collectible and becoming very expensive, this well-travelled 205 GTI 1.9. Now, this Sunbeam Alpine is a pretty little sports car and quite well regarded in its day, but this one really does have a tiger in its tank. Yes, it's fitted with a North American motor. I'm not sure whether that relates to the power output, 260, but these were actually pretty quick cars today, even as well as in the day, and I believe these were built by Jensen. Built in small numbers for homologation purposes and hardly much more powerful than the XR3i on which it's based is this Ford Escort Mark III RS60-100i. So this 87, 88 Mitsubishi Lancer Estate must be one of the rarest cars we're going to see today. Forget your Ferraris and the McLaren that's next to it. Won't get quite so much attention, but this is real Festival of the Unexceptional territory. Look at that, it's in fantastic order, isn't it? Now, collecting for a very worthy cause, for the Bicester Food Bank, and next to it this absolutely stunning ex-Barry Sheen Suzuki. What a fantastic car. I think this was called, rather than Jimny, it may have been called Jimny, but I'm sure it had the model name SJ410 or something like that. An incredible car, isn't it? Now, this Renault 5 Turbo sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Sadly, rust has killed off a lot of these MR2s. The Toto MR2 midship runabout two-seater. That's a lovely car. Quite an unusual colour, that one, isn't it? Sort of that dark red metallic. I've seen them in solid red, but not so much in that burgundy red. As usual, it's an eclectic mix of cars here, and take a look at this sort of semi-race prepared Mark 1 VW Sirocco. Looking a bit different to standard, and I love the bonnet prop. Interesting. Always got time here for an MGB on the channel. MGB Roadster, relatively early one. What's that, 67? Now, E30 BMWs are relatively commonplace, but to me, I actually like the pretty predecessor, aimed at introducing younger enthusiasts to classic cars, and I'm all in favour of that, are the Starter Motor group, who brought along a collection here. S-Type Jaguar, Porsche 924, that's probably not a bad one to start with, an Alvis, and even, becoming collectible, these Audi TTs. A bit more modern is this Aventador. This is the Mark 1 Golf that you might have seen, this Golf GTI, in my coverage at the Lancaster Classic Show. It's owned by the Hero Era, that's the historic European rallying organisation, and available for hire from them. A very nice rally prepared Mini 1275 GT. I think, wasn't this Clubman one designed by Roy Haynes? Or maybe I've made that one up. Drop that one in the comments. I'm not. Another one of the Hero ERA cars is this 2002 BMW, rally prepared as indeed are all the others. And this is a Testarossa, of course, a later one because it's got the two mirrors rather than the single one mounted higher up. Successor to the early Porsche 924 is this Porsche 944. It's a Series 2 car, got the rounded dash and the styling changes at the front. These look exceptionally good value now, to be honest with you. Pretty and practical as a four-seater. Also is this Maserati, next to Maserati, 3200 GT I believe, and of course rounding the set off, a nice McLaren. Looking like it's crashed is this Carver. This is, I think, built in the Netherlands, but also I believe tested on Top Gear. A three-wheeler sort of motorbike, trike, what would you call it? An early and well-used Porsche 924 with that psychedelic interior. You can't quite see that from here. Next to it, slightly more shiny Porsche 911, or is it Porsche 912? Can't see, I'll have to check that one out. And a BMW, lovely one. Probably a machine polish might be an idea, but as always, these reds do fade over time. Lovely car though. Next to, I think it's a Proteus or a C-Type replica, and another later Porsche, but this time a 964, I think that's an 89. Now this tiny little sports car, and I can't emphasize enough how small it is a Matra bonnet, whatever that is. Look that one up, guys, and pop that one in the comments, because that's a really diminutive little thing. Quite a wide track on it as well. Look how much those, or certainly wide track or space is fitted, isn't it? Lovely. Now I know this car, this early-ish S-Class belongs to a fellow Mercedes-Benz Owners Club member. Here today in force is Lotus with the last combustion engined Lotus. This is the Emira, and also the first electric Lotus. I think this is the Electra, the new SUV. What the pictures and seeing this in the flesh shows you, it's absolutely huge, isn't it? Aren't these lovely, these late W123 coupes? The coupe, the pillarless coupe, is a really pretty car in my opinion. Interesting to see one in solid red as well. With the Mexican hat wheels, it looks a treat, doesn't it? Now who doesn't love a Spider? Even if it's a later cam-tailed one, it's still a pretty car. And the 6-cylinder GT6 is obviously based on the Spitfire platform, but with the fastback. Now I'm never quite sure whether to call these the Junior or I think the 105 series. Nevertheless, this race prepared Alpha is a distinctive looking car, isn't it? It looks like it's had a few outings looking at the stickers. A few here, and certainly it's been to Goodwood a few times. And next to it, this lovely Volvo 121, called Amazon, not officially called Amazon, but this is a wagon. It's an early car, it's a 66, and it's a right-hand drive UK car. Lovely. An absolutely lovely E38 7 Series, and sadly I know that colour is Aspen Silver, because my dad had a 5 Series in the same colour. Now I don't know about you, but I really like these Audi B3s, replacing the square B2s. This car came out in the mid to late 80s. Fully galvanised body, so many of these have survived. I remember, I think they called it a sort of self-healing if it had slight minor scratches on it. This one, I'm not sure what it is, whether it's a 1.8E or the 1.8S, which was the carburettor car, but nevertheless lovely to see here. I really like these, as you can probably tell. Now here's that very nice MGB Roadster with a couple of interesting looking characters inside. I hope they've bought a ticket. Now these events wouldn't be complete without an American car contingent, and here we've got a 1967 Mustang. Doesn't look at this little beauty. It's an Austin Healey Sebring Sprite. Again, it's difficult to sort of get across how small the car is, but you'll notice the difference. Obviously completely restyled front end with that clamshell. And let's take a look around the back. It's race prepared, and it's got that extremely useful rear hatch. What a lovely little car. Now we've seen a few Porsche 944s. It's a Series 2 car, but importantly this one is the car that's the far faster turbo. So this is packing about 250 horsepower, proclaiming it's 101 scale. It's a bit more than Airfix. It's actually a 105 series Giulia Sprint GT, and it's in stunning condition. Now I've just been reliably told these 105 series cars, this particular one is what's called a step nose. So if you look here, I thought it was the bonnet was open. Look at my ignorance here. If anybody can put in the comments the difference on the step nose, which was applied to a relatively small number of cars, I'd absolutely love to know. It's very pretty anyway. Looks like this 635i still has its original dealer sticker and plates. That's a lovely car, isn't it? Now, especially for Hubnut fans, is a headlamp wiper moment, and aren't they a pair of headlamp wipers? This E30 BMW, I can't see the badging on this one. I'm wondering whether it's the revered 318IS. Not quite sure about that. Well, this is a beauty, isn't it? The Clio V6 mid-engined. This is the later car. It just purrs along, guys. It looks doesn't look like the animal it probably is. That's lovely. And this is a South African built T1 Splitty VW Combi. That's a beauty. Apparently built in South Africa for a limited period and marketed under the name, or I'm not sure it's the brand, Fleetline, but interesting anyway. Now 205 Peugeots come in lots of different flavours. I think the red one is an XS, but the first one here that I can see is the stripped out Rally. Many of these Peugeots have been made to look like rallies. I don't know if this is an original, maybe somebody can tell me, but it certainly looks good. It's got the stripes, as somebody once said to me. Very nice to see this pretty little Elan just arriving at the show. Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? After driving one of these recently, I've become a real fan of these Lancia Delta Integrales. This looks like, I think it's the run-out version, the anniversary or something like that. Now these are rarer than hen's teeth or rocking horse manure. It's an Audi 200 Avant, not the 100, which is rare enough, but the 200, and it's the Quattro version as well. I haven't seen one of those for quite a while. I'm not sure if there's a 4.5 or a 4.7, but it's the former car of the year, the Porsche 928. It's a left-hand drive car. Looking at this, it's got those trademark pop-up headlamps, the sort of frog's eyes that pop up, and those sort of telephone dial wheels. Nevertheless, it's a lovely car, isn't it? And these are not expensive yet. Now these are cars that are going up in value quite a lot. There seems to be a lot more interest in these P1800s. It looks like an S because it's got the different bumpers to the cars that were built by Jensen on Volvo's behalf initially. You pretty much see these everywhere you go these days, don't you? It's a Mercedes-Benz Owners Club, like myself, member, and it's an R107 from what, 88, 89. These had a massively long production run. The production started, I think, in 72. Now these all aluminium beauties apparently lost Audi £4,000 per car at the time. Well ahead of its time. I think it weighed something like 998 kilograms. Very lightweight car. The bonnet comes off complete. All the regular components, all the regular service items rather, you can check. There's a flap here. Available as a petrol and a diesel. I'm not sure which one this is. Let's have a look. Oh, it's the 1.4, so it's the really robust 1.4 petrol engine. If anybody's got one of those that you're willing to lend me for an hour, a couple of hours to drive, I would surely love to drive one of those, because I think it's a technical masterpiece. It really is well ahead of its time. Now this little beauty is the 8-valve GTI recently acquired by the Volkswagen, so you can follow the progress of that as he says on his channel. It's a really good car to start with, to be honest with you. It looks in great condition, but obviously he's got some improvements to do, so feel free to follow Volkswagen for those of you that don't already do that. Just arriving the stripped out Porsche 968 Club Sport. These really are stripped to the bone. Very nice HF Fulvia. Just arriving. Oh, watch the curb and watch the tree. Oh, that sounds good, doesn't it? A Lotus Elite in JPS colours with quite a bright interior, followed by, I was going to say that was an Elan Plus 2. It's not, it's Elan Plus something. Let's have a look around the back of that one, guys. I wonder if this is a one-off. It's a Lotus Estrale, or so it says on the badge. Look at that. It's got that space in the back, so it's got the Plus 2, but it's also got the boot space. It's got the rear wiper. That's a really interesting looking car, isn't it? Never seen one of those before. That's a first. Now this is a lovely British Racing green, or ish, Lotus XL. These were built with parts because of the relationship with Toyota, so these were far better than the Eclat that was the predecessor apparently. Now the Peugeot 309 was originally destined to be a Matra model. In the end it became a Peugeot and the big brother to the 205, and the GTI version is somewhat overshadowed, but they do go particularly well. This is a Goodwood special edition. It's got the badge in, as you can see. I didn't think these were sold as a 5-door, but please put that in the comments if you know better than me. And it's in stunning condition. Not a colour for everybody is this W123. It's a 230 rather than a 230E, so I guess it's a carburettor car. Nevertheless, it is right-hand drive, so it's a UK car, and it's a V. It's an 80. Maybe it could be a South African car, I don't know. If you're the owner of this, please pop it in the comments, help me out with that. Good old 1975 Rover P6B, B being the Buick engine, and in actual fact this is an S, which means unusually it's a manual, and I think the front cross member, there was certainly some design changes to accommodate the manual gearbox. Most were autos, so manual is relatively unusual. Sorry to disappoint you guys, but there's no snow here today, but at least there's a snow track, which might come in handy if there is. Interesting. You don't see too many Volvo 480s, and we forget that this was a massively challenging design for the relatively staid Volvo to come up with in the 80s. That front low grille, those pop-up lights. This one's in superb condition, and they've got a thriving owners club, I understand, as well. And on sale, I think now this is a prototype of the off-road Morgan. I think these are about 100 grand or something like that. It's not the sort of car you polish up and brings to shows. In fact, the opposite. You take it off-road down a bit of green laning. Here's one for those of you that follow the Volvo 850 exploits of Jeff Buys Cars. It's the 850R in that Gull Yellow, Gull Series. These are becoming really valuable. You can get into 850Ts, but 850Rs are really sought after now. Great car, great car. At the other end of the Volvo scale, performance-wise, is this Volvo 240 Estate. I'm not sure, I don't think it's a Tourslander, it's certainly a late car. I think probably when they were running these as a classic. That's lovely, isn't it? I think we've all got fond memories of being carried in one of those. Now I know this car, so check out my video. I drove this back in November, and it's the Lancia Delta owned by Hero Era. But more importantly, let's have a look. There is a rally Peugeot 504. I never see Peugeot 504s full stock, never mind a rally one. A twin headlight treatment at the front rather than those traditional trapezium styled ones or whatever it was. Belgian registered. Says limited use only, old. Well, it certainly is old. No question about that, is there? Sacre bleu! It's a Citroen CX! Wow! What a spaceship they were. My dad had one when I was young, and it was just like a spaceship to a small boy. Fantastic. Good to see one here. So this pretty little Lancia Fulvia Zagato 1600 is owned by Harry's Garage. So this had a fantastic restoration, painstaking restoration. Harry knew this car as a boy. I think he spent something like about £80,000 on it. It's in absolutely superb order now, as you'd expect. And I think this is a Bahama Gold Suffix A or Suffix B Range Rover 2-door. It's a right-hand drive, so it's a UK car. And also a very pretty Elan Sprint. I'm not sure if that's the Harry's Garage car as well. I know he's got one of those. Maybe he's brought them both. I haven't seen one of these on the road yet. I've only seen them on video. It's highly rated. I do think they've got this right. Dull as the VW ID range is, this VW ID Buzz stands out as being absolutely superb. What a great incarnation of an electric vehicle. An Alfa Romeo Montreal. Don't you just like those hooded lights? Let's have a look there closer. Oh, fantastic. And a 1958 Skoda 1201 wagon. You don't see too many of those, are you? So this is the brand spanking new BMW M3 Touring, the first ever official M3 Touring that's ever been created. Looks great in an emerald green, doesn't it? Let's take a look around the back. Proudly wearing its M3 competition badge. As you can see here, probably got the split tailgate as well. All the power, all the performance, and all the practicality. Very nice. So take your pick of the pagodas, the convertible, this fitted with the hard top. That's a lovely condition, that one, isn't it? Interesting registration number, GLK. And older Morgan, 71, that will be a J. So what's that, a Morgan +2, something like that? Even wearing its original Tollhouse Toyota Gatwick or Horsham plates is this Toyota Tercel, a seldom seen four-wheel drive Toyota Estate, sold in limited numbers. So this is the Daimler SP250, incorrectly called the Dart by many. The name was never used because of legal issues with Dodge. It was the last car produced by Daimler as an independent company before the takeover from Jaguar. We're going to have a chat with the owner and find out a bit more about this actual car. So we're going to talk to Sean about this SP250. Sean, far away, can you tell us a bit more about this actual car, please?
I can. So she's a 1964 C-Spec Daimler, so one of the last. She's 19 chassis numbers from end, and she was originally produced for the Metropolitan Police, and she served as a police car until I'm just checking my notes, until 1968.
Wow.
And when she was discharged, she was converted from an automatic to a manual, and that's the only significant work that she's had done on her.
Wow. An ex-police car. A real ex-police car.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And you're here as part of the Historic and Classic Vehicles Alliance, representing a number of different groups.
So the HCVA was founded in May 1921, essentially to provide a voice for an £18 billion sector that didn't have representation. Okay, so we engage with government and influencers to ensure the future of our sector. We have three main objectives: is protecting the usability of our cars going forward, encouraging youth into the sector both as owner drivers and as careers, and the environmental arguments around classic cars. We're not for profit, funded by membership, and all the cars here on the stand today are members' vehicles.
Excellent. So by all means Google the Historic and Classic Vehicles Alliance. Quite an original looking Volvo 740 GLE. It's got the leather interior on this one. Got a wipers on the lights moment for those of you interested in that. And it looks like this particular one has a nickname, and it's called Ace. And a one owner from new BMW 740i. You're not going to find too many of those about, are you? You can freeze frame if you're interested in buying this one. It seems to be a very reasonable $39.50. Hopefully you can see the owner's contact details there. So this Mark II Cortina GT, it looks like it's a 70 or a 71. It looks like a Crayford convertible, but it isn't, the owner tells me. So let's have a chat with him and find out a little bit more about it.
I was fortunate enough to buy the car for £30.
£30, wow.
£30, 38 years ago, and it wasn't in the same condition as it is now. And it was a lovely hot sunny day, so I just literally cut the roof off Not with £30 being spent on the car as initial outlay, it wasn't too bad. So drove it all through the summertime when the sun was shining beautifully, and I went for the MOT, and unfortunately it passed.
Oh, wow. So you had to hang on to it.
And there was no strengthening done on it at the time, and it passed. So I had to think about it and actually started looking at the Crayford convertibles and the way they were done, and done the same fabrications, and put all the fabrications in, strengthened all the underneath, and I think it is actually stronger than a Crayford now.
Wow.
So
Because Crayfords are hardly popular. There's hardly many Crayford Mark IIs about.
there's still a fair amount. There's about 150 about, I think, in the club.
They survived, right?
Yeah. Because people were looking after them.
Yes,
There's
of course, a bit more than the average Cortina.
absolutely.
Right, it's a fantastic conversion. Just have a quick look inside.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, in terms of cutting the roof off, and I mean, what was it, sort of angle grind? Break out the angle grinder? And
I couldn't afford an angle grinder at the time.
Very good.
So it was hacksaw, literally was a hacksaw. But since that time, I've actually put the strength in. The chassis is strengthened all the way from the front, all the way to the rear.
Wow.
And then across the back there, and then go to strengthen it all the way across to the other side. So it's
So pretty much the scuttle shake, you've got that under control.
none of that. I mean, look at that. Doors shut
wow.
beautifully.
Yeah.
So.
Excellent.
And that's after me driving it around. I was a little bit of a nutcase when I was younger, and it was thrashed about, I think is the word, but it lasted. It lasted well.
Oh, well done. Thank you very much for talking to us about it.
No problem. Thank you.
With a tortoise symbol, this is one of 99, maybe 100, because they had some parts left at the end, Gordon Keebles ever built. So it's a UK design, British design car, but with an American engine. Really super rare, as you can imagine. This one too, GKR, in this beautiful light metallic green finish, is a stunning car. I'm not sure whether it was designed by an Italian styling house. I'm not sure about that, but a really super rare car. Really pleased to see that one. Almost as rare is a Capri, but this time it's a Capri Ghia rather than the ubiquitous S. Those of you that follow the channel for a while will realise I attended Jensen Owners Day, so I know this is a Jensen 541R. R because of rack and pinion. Some really delightful features on these cars. First of all, you've got the swivelling radiator grille, which is controlled from inside the car for airflow. So basically, until the engine heats up, you can keep that closed. Isn't that amazing? What a fantastic innovative design. Fiberglass in this period was a relatively new design feature, but also, as you'll be able to see here hopefully, is that the rear side screens and indeed the rear screen are made from Perspex, which was a material developed during World War II and relatively innovative at that stage. What a great car. Lovely Porsche 914. This was the chassis that they shared with VW, and this is in lovely order, isn't it? A Sebring body styled MGB and Clubman, Mini Clubman, and then something completely different. That's the fun of this Bicester Scramble. You've got a Jowett Javelin, a company that went out of business I think in the early 60s as a result of some issues with gearboxes and being unable to source bodies. And if you want some Blackpool Rock, a TVR Kibera, and I think that's a TVR Cigaris, followed by a 911, an E-Type. Yeah, you get the picture. Now this is a realm recreation of a Jaguar C-Type, a 4.6 Jag engine, and sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Driver just getting strapped in. It's a windy and cold day here. I hope he's wrapped up for that journey home. So thanks for joining me at the first Bicester Scramble of 2023. We've seen some great cars. Hopefully you've enjoyed the interviews that we've had with some of the owners. Please like, share, subscribe. That all helps the algorithm on YouTube, and I look forward to you joining me on the next one. Thanks for watching again.